Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. We are here today with Kelly Ratliff, the former wife of deceased Keith Ratliff, better known as the business partner of FPSRussia and Kyle Myers. How are you doing today, Kelly?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So Kelly wanted to show us a little bit of her life with Keith through photos. So, Sonia, go ahead and show us what you got.
Okay. This is my daddy handing me to Keith. Yeah.
So now what year was this that you married Keith?
November 10th, 2007.
November 10th, 2007?
That's my nanny putting on his boutonniere. This is one of our engagement pictures. It's a little better than the wedding pictures. This one was after we got married. We were walking out of the church.
Hang on, let me zoom in on that. That's the two of you walking out of... What church did you get married at?
Morse Creek First Church of God.
Morse Creek First Church of God? Mm-hmm. Where was that at?
Stanton.
Stanton? Kentucky?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
There's some more of our engagement pictures.
So now, how long were you and Keith married?
I filed for divorce 2 years and 2 days after we got married.
2 years and 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then at what point were you engaged to be married a second time?
He came back home. Our divorce was final in December of 2009, December 16th. By January 20th of 2010, he was back home.
Okay. Okay. And when he was murdered, you did consider him to be your fiancé?
Yes.
And he considered you to be his fiancé?
Yes.
Okay.
We were to be remarried in March.
In March. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Kelly, how just for everybody's sake, how did you come to know me?
I watched your video on YouTube about
speculating who may have murdered your husband?
Yes.
Now, did that bother you? Maybe you can be honest with me.
No.
It didn't bother you?
No, I want people to talk about it.
So you want people to talk about it? No. Why is that?
Because somebody has to pay.
Somebody has to pay. Now, do you feel like that it's becoming a cold case?
Yes.
So your mission really is to keep this out in the public. Keep people talking about it until they find who did this, mm-hmm. and bring them to justice.
And I will until the day I die.
You will until the day you die. Well, I'm going to try to help that case because I'm with you. I think that this is something that, that we have somebody that's been murdered, and they need to find who did it. They need to bring that person to justice. And if I can help at all with this not becoming a cold case, then I'm with you 100%.
Whoever did it, they didn't just take somebody that made YouTube videos and gave people things to look at. I mean, they took my life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a part of me that's gone that I'm never going to get that back.
Yeah.
And it's not just me. I mean, it's his family, it's his kids, it's our nieces and nephews, his grandma. We're all missing a piece of us.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about happier times. When you first met Keith, what was that like?
He never shut up.
He never shut up?
No.
He was a talker. I can contest to that.
I think we drove for probably 3 hours before we ever stopped to get anything to eat or look at anything, and I may have got 5 words out. I mean, just constantly. You know, he had first date. He says, "I'm going to show you something." I was like, "Okay." He pulls out his wallet, and he has an X-ray of a tooth that he broke, and we're both terrified of dentists. When he went to get his tooth fixed, the dentist drilled into his jawbone or something, and Keith almost punched him. So he packed around this X-ray of this broke tooth, and he was like, "Oh, look at this! It's really cool."
So he was proud of that X-ray.
Yeah, because there was never another one.
So I'm guessing that that's the first guy that's ever showed you his X-rays on a first date.
Yeah.
Where did you guys go on your first date?
Mostly we just drove around, and then we ended up going to the Red River Gorge for a little while, and then we went to the drive-in and watched a movie, and then
Do you remember what movie you watched?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
The second one, I think.
The sequel. So now, how long did you date Keith before you guys ended up getting married?
5 months.
5 months. So that was a whirlwind relationship.
5 months and 8 days.
5 months and 8 days. Wow, that's amazing.
We have been we've been dating about 2 weeks, and we were talking on the phone one day after work, and he says, "I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you." And I was like, "Okay." And then about a week later we were talking, and he said, "I love you." And I said, "Well, thank you. I really appreciate that." And he was like, "Did you just tell me thank you?" And I said,
Now, had you been married before?
"No."
So Keith was your first marriage? Wow. So you had that total soulmate feeling going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Blessed to have met him.
I tell my church family all the time that I have no doubt
Wow. That's awesome.
that God brought him to me.
That's awesome. That is. That's awesome. So now let me ask you a question. When you were married to Keith, did he work in the firearms industry? No. How did he get into being? I mean, because he's been talked about as a firearms expert.
Keith loved guns. I mean, he loved them. And when we got married in November, December, he bought me my first gun.
What did he buy you?
A Glock.
A Glock? Which one? Do you know?
The Glock 19.
The Glock 19? Awesome.
And told me that he was going to teach me how to shoot it, because every woman needed to know how to shoot a gun to protect herself.
Right.
So,
Right.
And we went to a gun show in Louisville, and on our way back home we stopped by his aunt and uncle's house, and he was showing him the gun, and his uncle was pretty funny anyway. He said, "Why'd you buy her a gun?" And Keith was like, "Because, there's times that I'm gone. She needs to protect herself." And he said, "No, you know who she's going to end up shooting with that gun." Just the way they were. I mean, they were, they were cut-ups and made little jokes.
So now, Keith was basically self-taught as far as firearms go?
Pretty much. I mean...
Yeah, he wasn't in the military.
He was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy? Do you know what his MOS was?
No.
No?
I mean, I just...
So it could have been firearms related for all you know.
Actually, I don't think that he made it much past his boot camp.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, he always had a pocket-sized copy of the Constitution in his pocket.
Right. So he was a patriot.
He was.
And he was into firearms. Okay, which pretty much reminds me of myself. So I'm okay with that. So now, so he becomes at some point becomes very proficient with firearms and becomes. Was he like that when you were married to him?
Yes.
Yes.
When we met, right when we met, he started working on the website for Double Star, which is a company in Winchester, Kentucky, that builds AR-15s. And he built his own. Well, he built my dad one too, an AR-15, and he let me help a little bit, not much, but because I like to touch things that I think are cute.
Yeah, you thought the AR-15 was cute? Yeah, all right, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. So he started working on that website. He got into to the internet.
He that's what he did when I met him. He was a web designer,
Yeah.
and then he started with search engine optimization, which was his big thing for a while.
Right.
After we got married, most of the websites that he done were for the cabin rental companies in the Red River Gorge. And then he did one, I think it's called Sunny Fresh Farms in Florida. That was the son, or no, yeah, a son of a man that his granddad was really good friends with.
So at what point did he get involved with YouTube?
He started making little videos, like just of stupid stuff. Maybe in 2009.
Okay. Were they firearms videos or just?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we had a Saint Bernard that we babied.
Okay.
And when she wanted a snack, which was cheese, because that's what Keith made her snack, she would go to the refrigerator and just look at it. And Keith would tell her to speak, and she would just start barking. So he made like a video of that, and there was, he did some of him riding a little four-wheeler in our yard, just goofing off and being stupid.
So he started his own YouTube channel, was just doing goofy videos. Do you remember the name of that YouTube channel?
Kentucky or KY Dive Master, I think.
KY Dive Master. Now was he into diving, into
He did.
underwater diving?
He used to, him and his first wife lived in Guam and Florida.
Okay, so he did a lot of diving then, deep sea diving. Okay, so he was a professional diver too, or an expert diver too. Okay, so at what point does he meet Kyle Myers?
It was April or early May of 2010. I came home from work, and when I came in, he said, "Baby, come in here and watch this video." So when I go in there, it was Kyle with the Caltech, where he gets pepper sprayed and he's trying to shoot the gun. So I'm cracking up because I think he's retarded that he let somebody spray him with pepper spray. And then after that, he was like, "I'm going to start working with this guy." And I was like, "All right, whatever." And then 2-3 weeks later, I come home and he's got a backpack, and I was like, "Where are you going?" And he was like, "I'm going to Tennessee to make a video with Kyle." And they did the AA-12 video.
Okay, and that's how him and Kyle kind of started their relationship together.
I think he started emailing him and just went from there.
Yeah. And from all accounts, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, from all accounts, Keith was the firearms expert for the FPSRussia channel.
Yes, starting in 2010.
Okay. Now, Keith told me on the phone that he was a 50-50 partner with that channel. Do you know that to be true or no?
I don't.
You don't know that
No.
to be true? You don't know that to be true or it isn't true?
I don't know. I mean, I know
Okay.
that he was some part of a partner, and I know that he got paid for, a certain percent for videos, but I don't know.
Okay. So there was some kind of a revenue split with them. So because everybody speculates as to how much money we're talking about. Do you have any idea how much money we're talking about when it comes to the FPSRussia channel?
No.
No idea? Okay.
Keith was very, you keep your business life and your personal life separate.
Okay. He left work at work. Okay, I gotcha. So now, at what point do you know that Keith started the FPS Industries with Kyle Myers?
That's kind of funny. I had told Keith that I wanted an FPSRussia shirt, and this was in late 2011, and and this is how much I pay attention to detail.
Yeah.
So, Keith had went to Georgia for something to meet with Kyle, came back, and he hands me a bag of shirts. And I was like, oh, okay. It wasn't until after Keith got killed that it really hit me that they all said FPS Industries, not FPSRussia.
Right.
So, FPS Industries, like 2011.
Okay. Okay. And was that doing well? Do you know?
I don't know.
I know you just told me that you separated work from pleasure. All right. So now, fast forward to the day you found out that Keith had been murdered. How did you find out that he'd been, for all intents and purposes, executed?
Was at work. One of the girls told me I had a phone call. And it was Keith's cousin, kind of best friend. And he said, hey baby, what you doing? Because they all called me baby for some reason. And I said, nothing, what you doing? He was like, nothing. And I said, Josh, what's wrong? And he just said, Keith's dead. They shot him.
No, when he said they shot him, did he elaborate at all? No? Okay.
No, and I remember saying, Josh, no. And the next thing I know, my mom and dad are carrying me out of my office. And then it's about 3 or 4 hours later, somebody from GBI called me.
Now, GDI is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And told me he was really sorry to have to talk to me about it. But he had to ask me questions about Keith. And things that Keith was involved with. And even then I didn't know. I mean, all I knew that he had been shot. I didn't know where. I didn't know if anybody tried to save him. I didn't know anything.
Okay. Do you need to take a minute? You sure? Okay.
And then Kyle called me about 3 o'clock that Saturday morning. And I told him I wanted to know what happened. And he said that they had went to the factory and the door was locked, so they thought that Keith was asleep. And they went in, and he said that he thought somebody had hit Keith in the head and that he was knocked out until he touched him. And shot in the head.
Do you know how many times he'd been shot?
As far as I know, once.
Do you know with what caliber?
A very small caliber.
Like a 22? Okay. Okay. Where at in the head was he shot?
Kind of behind his right ear.
Behind his right ear. So now, who once again, who found him dead?
Kyle and Jeremy Fulbright.
Kyle Myers and Jeremy Fulbright?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, of course, they contacted the police.
Yes.
Okay. So when the Georgia Bureau of Investigations asked you questions, how many questions did they ask you?
I don't know.
It's kind of a blur to you?
They wanted to know where we banked. If anybody had access to the factory if Keith wasn't there. if Keith would have opened the safe for anybody. If I knew what kind of guns Keith had. If Keith was into anything illegal. If Keith and Kyle had any problems. If I knew anybody that wanted to hurt Keith. That's about all I remember.
Yeah. Now, this factory that he was at, that was his factory with Kyle. And they were what were they manufacturing? Firearms. Okay. How far into that process were they? Because I've heard differing accounts of that. Some people said they weren't even actually manufacturing them yet.
I don't, to the best of my knowledge, they hadn't actually started manufacturing anything.
Now, did they have any investors, or this is something that they were going on their own?
As far as I know, it was just them.
Just the two of them?
Yes.
Okay, which would make sense, because when I talked to Keith, he did tell me that him and Kyle were 50-50 partners. Okay. So, and I know it's just speculation on would be speculation on your part, but was there anybody that wanted to harm Keith?
I'm sure there was. I mean, the thing about Keith was he loved to piss people off.
Okay.
I mean, he would argue with you. I mean, over anything. Just because that was him. I mean, it's not. Keith was full of useless knowledge. A lot of useless knowledge.
Like what? Give me an example.
I mean, just like if he saw something that, like if we were somewhere and he saw a knot that he liked, we went to the bookstore and we bought books on how to tie knots.
Okay.
Or, if there was something around the house that I wanted done and he wasn't sure how to do it, he would buy books and watch videos. And
So he learned a lot of things about a lot of things that wouldn't necessarily help him in his day-to-day life, but he was fascinated with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got you. So, getting back to, he liked to piss people off as a hobby? Or that was just his personality?
It was just him. I mean,
Just him?
it's like, my sister-in-law is from California. So anytime she walked in the house, he had to make some kind of crack about Californians and, just how they were and how they didn't like guns and
Right,
just
right. He had to needle him. Yeah, he had to needle him. Yeah, I gotcha. So now let me ask you a question. Who's during the funeral? Okay, did anybody of notoriety show up as far as in his business world?
Kyle was there.
Kyle was there.
And then I don't really know their last names, but Corey and Erica, they have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Okay.
They were there.
Okay. And did this Jeremy Fulbright show up?
Yes.
Okay. Now who was he with?
Kyle.
He was with Kyle. Okay.
And Kyle's dad.
Okay. When's the last time that you actually talked to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
I called probably a month ago, and the lead investigator told me that if there was anything new, he would contact me. And it's not. I don't want to aggravate him, but I want him to know that I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I have all this on my work computer. A couple Fridays ago, I emailed him to ask him if there was, anything going on, and he's read it, but he hasn't responded.
Okay. So they're not responding on that.
No.
Okay.
I have emailed and called the Attorney General for Georgia to ask about filing an open records request. Because I want to.
You want to know what's going on, and at this point nobody's telling you.
And my way of looking at things is, I feel like I know Keith better than most people. So if something's out of place in his area, I'm going to notice that before somebody else will. I want to see those pictures. I want to know, you know,
Has anybody from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation ever actually physically came to meet with you?
no.
No?
The day of Keith's funeral, there was an investigator from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office in Georgia and somebody from GBI that called to meet with me. And it was the day of his funeral. I was tore up. And I went to the wrong place. And I told him that I could go home because my mom took me. I said, well, I can go home and get my car and come back. And he was like, no, that's fine. I will, we'll come to your office tomorrow. So the next day, you know, I waited and I waited and I waited. And they never showed up. They never called to tell me they weren't coming.
That's got to be very frustrating.
It is. I mean, you know, because in their words, legally, I'm not family, so I don't matter.
Right. So, what was your response to finding out that the ATF and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation had raided Kyle's father's farm?
Honestly,
Yeah.
it broke my heart just a little more.
Yeah. Now, have you talked to Kyle?
I haven't talked to Kyle since New Year's Eve.
Yeah. What was the last conversation you guys had about?
There was a guy that came and interviewed me and some of Keith's family, and he had asked me to talk to Kyle, and he was like, you know, just ask him if he'll talk to me off the record. So I did, and Kyle told me no, that he didn't like reporters, and that they didn't care if I was hurt. All they wanted was a story, and that I didn't need to talk to them either. Somebody has to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't let him be just a statistic that everybody forgets about.
So, is it safe to say that you encourage everybody to make YouTube videos and talk about Keith and just put it on blast to maybe light a fire under the
I do.
GBI?
I mean, I just want, you know, I don't want people to forget. This wasn't just, you know, he wasn't just sitting somewhere out in the open. This was just not normal at all.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make a difference. I mean, you know, if they find who did it and they spend the rest of their life in prison or they die, it's not going to bring them back. It's not going to make a difference. But I want somebody to look me in my eyes and tell me why.
Yeah.
What was so bad that they couldn't have just said, let's talk about it. You know?
So, let me ask you this: Do you have any idea why he was murdered?
No.
No.
I mean, Keith was probably the one person in my life that can make me so mad. But I don't know why anybody would want to kill somebody. It just doesn't.
Now, let me ask you another question. There was speculation that it had to have been somebody that he knew. Could you elaborate on why you think that?
Just to the best of my knowledge, Keith didn't fight back. He didn't put up a fight. And that's not him. So, I mean, you know, it had to be somebody that he trusted or they was just really comfortable with. I mean,
So basically, he allowed somebody literally to get behind him, and they put a gun to the back of his head and pulled the trigger. So it had to have been, in your opinion, it had to be somebody that he absolutely trusted.
Yep.
Hmm.
I mean, in our house, if he didn't know you, you weren't coming in our house. I mean, if it was raining, he may have let you step inside the door, but that was as far as you got.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't. I mean, there was people in our families that weren't allowed in our house.
So it had to be somebody within an inner circle. But now, he was in Georgia. Did you know everybody that was in his inner circle there?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. Well, we won't speculate on who you think did it, because that doesn't matter. The fact is that clearly it was somebody that he knew. Clearly it was somebody that he trusted. Now, Keith wasn't into drugs, was he?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We had I had a tooth pulled in 2010, I think it was. And I came home, and the dentist had sent me home with pain pills, and he flushed them down the toilet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So why did he do that?
Because he said that we didn't need those.
So he was that anti-drug.
Yes.
You weren't even to take pain pills when you needed them.
No.
Well, I know people like that, so I totally get that.
He in the summer of 2012, I think it was, he jumped off of a loading dock and messed his leg up. And he called me one night, and he was talking, and I said, "Have you been drinking?" And he goes, "No, but I did take my pain medicine, and I like the way it makes me feel, but I have to get rid of them because we can't take them."
He knew where that was going to lead.
Yeah, he was like, "No.
So, in your opinion, there is absolutely no way this was a drug deal gone bad.
No."
That doesn't even.
Keith was so, I don't want to say proud, but basically proud that he had his concealed carry, his MML, and his FFL. He wasn't going to do or be a part of anything that was going to make him lose those licenses.
Right.
I mean, no. I mean, if somebody wanted to smoke pot, he was like, whatever, that's your business.
Yeah.
But, I mean, as far as
Real drugs.
Yeah.
So now, I know that you, for the most part, you believe that Kyle was his partner in FPS Industries. Was there anybody that they went to for money?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so this couldn't have been somebody that they owed a lot of money to, and they weren't able to pay it back. Okay. So it wasn't a drug deal going bad. It wasn't a loan shark coming to take a pound of flesh. So I guess I don't know. It's the big mystery here. Do you feel confident in your heart that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is still working this case, or do you feel like they've just, for the most part, put it into a cold case file and forgot about it?
I want to believe them when they say that they're still working on it. And I know that they're busy. I know that they have other cases. But then there's a part of me that feels like Keith wasn't from there, so they don't care.
Okay.
And I hate to say that because, I have to believe that they are, and that they're going to find them, and I'm going to have answers.
Well, hopefully this video helps keep the fire stoked. So let's go ahead and conclude this. Is there anything you want to say before we end this conversation? Is there anything you want to get off your chest, or anything that you want to put out there?
Keith wasn't perfect, but he was mine. And somebody knows. Somebody somebody knows something. And I just wish they would come up and say, look, this is what happened. I know that there's somebody out there that knows what happened. And I just wish they would hurry up and tell it. I mean, I'm going on 16 months and 13 days. And it's not getting any easier. I miss that part of my life with everything that I have. And I would give anything to have him back. Or, I mean, you know, told his family and most of mine that I would have given anything to trade places with him. Because I think that he would have been fine without me. I know that he would have fought and been probably a little more vocal than I've been. That he would have been okay.
Okay. Well, listen, Kelly, I appreciate you taking the time out of your life to talk to the people who watch my channel, and hopefully this will at least in some way keep it into the public eye, and hopefully people don't forget. So thank you very much.
No, thank you.
You take care.
You too.